We back. There's a lot to unpack in this article, so we're going to go through it as swiftly and as accurately as we can. So Todd Pinion has finally decided to speak after I tried to get him to speak on Monday in front of the entire community, but he refused to do so. He already had this article out. So let's go through this article, shall we? Chief reflects on path forward for the Decatur City Police Department. Some Decatur residents say their trust in the department was shattered after the police killing of Steve Perkins in his front yard on September 29th. 3 officers were fired in connection with the killing, and 4th was suspended. Former officer Mac Marquette was indicted for murder by Morgan County grand jury on January 5th. This is what Pinion's entire statement is. We've got to start doing things to try to rebuild the trust, but that's a two-way street. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I've been on the street for a hot minute trying to get communication, get trust. I think you're the one that's not on the street, too. But let's continue. Pinion says many of his officers who were not involved in Perkins' death have been on the receiving end of yelling and cursing from supporters of the Movement for Justice, a group that has held numerous demonstrations since Perkins' death. There's got to be some give and take on both sides as far as understanding, and I think communication is the biggest part of it. Yeah, you're hilarious, Todd. Communication is the biggest part of it, yet we've not been able to hear from you unless you have the mayor and the city attorney sitting beside you and you're doing a press conference. You won't speak to us at city council meetings. You won't speak to us just randomly out in the public. You won't do that. So communication seems to be failing on your part. I recognize that there were some failures in some of the communication that may have helped during the process if it was done a little bit better. Yeah, like, I don't know, actually speaking to your community, not releasing a false statement less than 24 hours after Steve Perkins was murdered, because we'll get into that in just a second. Pinion said improving relationships with the community will not happen overnight and it will not be easy. I do not look for any glory. Are you kidding me? I don't look for any glory in any of this, he said. I don't want it, but the guys deserve better. The guys and gals that have been out there and been put through a lot of this stuff deserve a lot better. They've put up with a lot of stuff. Yeah, the citizens of Decatur deserve better. We've put up with a lot of stuff. Our mayor will not even sit in council meetings anymore and actually listen to the fact that we are fed up with this. This should not have happened, yet you still cannot admit that, right? Pinion, a regular figure at weekly city council meetings, even though he won't say anything, said he's been listening to the community. He said he has several things planned to improve the community relations and make sure another killing like Perkins never happens again. This is where he talks about the Citizen Advisory Board. When I talked to McMasters about the Citizen Advisory Board, they met like 4 times in the year 2023. They had just met right before Steve Perkins got murdered, and they weren't even supposed to meet again until this month. How is that a good Citizens Advisory Board for your police department who is working every day when this Citizens Advisory Board is barely meeting? I've tried to continue to keep the board members that are dedicated, that want to be in it, around to continuously keep them updated on things. It's gradually worn down since it started in 2020 after the George Floyd killing, and guess who started the Citizen Advisory Board for Decatur? Chief Nate Allen, not Chief Todd Pinion. Chief Nate Allen stayed on top of it. Obviously not Chief Pinion. Pinion said community relations was a prevalent topic at a 10-week FBI National Academy training course he attended last summer. Fewer than 1% of officers from around the country were invited to the program, according to the FBI. Yeah, the same FBI who highly recommends that you wait 72 hours after an officer-involved shooting to interview your officers, which you did not do, Todd? You mean that same FBI that you got chief of police here, left us for 10 weeks for this training, then came back? Not very fair to us, I would. We had things planned for October, November, and December, and then this happened, like the next day, and things kind of got derailed. How did they get derailed? Just because your officers murdered someone in their front yard? Why would things get derailed if you had things planned for October, November, and December? Wouldn't you want the police department to be out here to actually try and form better communication lines with the community after something like this happened, rather than just derailing all of it because your officers messed up, right? Pinion emphasized that a lot of people forget that his officers are human. It's a thankless job out here. And who knows what call we just came from. Yeah, a lot of jobs are thankless jobs out here, especially in this economy. One prime example, we had found the baby in the dumpster. Stuff like that. Please don't say that so casually, Pinion. You know, you go from that call and then you have to go do something else. We may be a little abrupt. I may be a little abrupt. It's kind of hard to compartmentalize and move on to the next call. No, honey, it's not hard. It's your job. It's what EMTs have to do. It's what doctors have to do. It's what firefighters have to do. You are not this random occupation that doesn't have any more standards than the next. You just have qualified immunity, which is bull. But when people call the police, it's typically their worst day for the most part. And they want a compassionate guy. And man, sometimes it's just not us. You're not compassionate. We know. And we got to work on that. We are professionals. Are you? And we've got to do better. But we are human. But first, you're professionals, right? Not humans first. You're professionals first, right? Why did you say it like that, Todd? Pinion has said that some officers have left his department since Perkins was killed, although he hasn't specified how many. 8 officers were hired by the department prior to September. I'm not going to sit here and act like my head is in the sand and pretend police officers are happy, because there are some that aren't. In the past, the department has faced shortages up to 19 officers, according to Pinion. Currently, the department is short in the mid-20s or so. So maybe we don't need a Decatur Police Department. Maybe we just need to be able to rely on Morgan County, because it doesn't seem like Decatur's able to be staffed, and it doesn't seem like the officers that are getting staffed are actually following policies and procedures. I think anytime any department has an incident like this, it does divide several people. I mean, it's divided somewhat our community at times. You're going to have some that leave the department for various reasons. It could be the indictment. It could be the way it happened here. What do you mean, the indictment? You mean him getting indicted because he didn't knock on the door? And also, why is he getting indicted but his sergeant isn't, his lieutenant isn't? Just kind of seems like y'all are leaning on Mac as the fall guy, and he's 24 years old. It's a little messed up. That's the biggest thing, he said. We want to have a whole lot more of those officers out on the road. What officers? Which officers? The ones who actually do their job right, or the ones that just do whatever the hell they want? He also characterized the department's morale as fluid. That's not good. Said it's a large department with a lot of different personalities. You have some that are going to be upset, and you have some that are ready to buckle down and uphold the oath that they swore to do. Yeah, by arresting peaceful protesters. Now, here's the biggest thing right here, okay? He's talked about all the crime that's gone down in Decatur over the last year and everything else. He talks about the fact that there were only 2 homicides in the city of Decatur last year. And Steve Perkins were one of them. He was one of them. So out of the 2 homicides, your officers killed someone? Out of 2, so half of the homicides that happened in 2023 were because of Decatur police. That's what the statistics say, right? Right? This is where Brianna Watkins chimes in, and I love exactly how she put this. I want to see them take more responsibility for their actions and make more statements publicly. That is exactly what we want. We want you to sit here and say the 4 officers that were involved with Steve Perkins' death were wrong. They were not operating as Decatur City police officers. They were operating as regular citizens. Therefore, all 4 of them should be charged. All 4. Even the guy who just escorted. He should have also been fired as well, because he still did not follow policies and procedures of the Decatur Police Department. This is our problem. The lack of transparency. The lies that have been given to us since the beginning. Why don't you just say it? Say it. We already know. But no, you'd rather the rumor mill continue to keep going. You'd rather for people to continue to get upset because of the way our councilman acts towards us and towards this entire situation, the way our mayor acts towards us and towards this entire situation. You want it to continue to escalate, which is all you and your police department seem to be good for anymore, is escalating situations instead of de-escalating them. You need to take accountability for your actions. You need to take accountability for your officers' actions. When I told you the other day, did you even know Steve Perkins' name when you shot him and you said, I didn't shoot nobody? Yes, you did. You trained Mac Marquette. You hired Mac Marquette. Whatever he does it in your name, honey. Sorry. That's how the world works. Look, I'm not saying they've all been perfect. They obviously haven't, but, you could say more than that. They haven't been perfect. Okay, what have they done that wasn't perfect? You are their chief. You are their leader. You're supposed to be getting on to them. Yes, we signed up for this job, but as a society, we've got to do better in general on both sides. Yeah, the movement, the Steve Perkins movement, has not rioted, has not looted, has not killed, has not hurt a single person. Your officers, on the other hand, have done that differently. They have hurt protesters. They have yelled and screamed and cussed at protesters too. So if we're not allowed to do it to them, they shouldn't be doing it to us, correct? This is why your community is in shambles, is because you don't know how to be a leader. Justice for Steve Perkins, justice for Jaden Descharnette, and justice for Decatur. Todd Pinion, I hope to see you talking a lot more, because I've got a lot of questions.